So like what markets are you in now?
So I'm in North Carolina, but I'm in Johnston County, which is decent, but there's so much new homes that are going
Yeah.
on. So I'm moving into Wake County is where I'm going to move. And I know Mecklenburg is huge, but
Yeah.
like just the cost of the leads is like ridiculous. And
Yeah.
actually Wake County is not far behind. So you're in this numbers game where, it's got to make
Hmm.
sense. But I live between the two counties
Mhm.
and I think that they teach you, they don't, what I love about Tiffany and Josh is they say, these are the things that work. And these are with the other company where I spent all my freaking money, they just said, you need to find it for you. And it
Yeah.
was really frustrating because what you do is you also think that like the PPL, because it's a high number, means it's a great place to buy. And it's not. I learned that fucking lesson the hard way. And then, like, oh, I want a beach house. So I'm going to put all my leads at a beach house. And there's no fucking
Yeah.
buyers at a beach house. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So a couple things. Let's all
Oh,
welcome Hannah. She's graced us with her presence in between all
oh,
of
Hey,
her
Hannah.
buyers. Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. One, when I started way back in the day when dinosaurs roamed the earth, it was also during 2009 and 10 when the recession was going on. So, the way that I looked at it was where are there more buyers? Were there more buyers under 50,000 or more buyers over 100,000? That was one thing. But the second thing to consider was, okay, if I put something under contract that I think a rehabber is going to buy, because I came out of Orlando in 2006, which was fucking bananas, right? Like your dog could sell a house. There was no talent involved. It was crazy like it was a couple of years ago. So, I had to evaluate the market that I was in at the time. And my thought process is, okay, again, let's start with the end in mind. I would love to sell 70, 80, 100, $200,000 houses to a rehabber who's going to rehab it and sell it. But what was happening in the market then? And I'm not in any way comparing that market to this market, but nobody could buy a house. Banks were busy taking properties back, not lending money, right? So rehabbing was out. Like that wasn't even a thing. So, okay, well, who's still buying properties? Landlords. What do landlords love? Cheap properties that they could buy for 20, 30, at the time, 20, 30,000 rent for 600, 700, right? So we just backwards engineered it and said, oh, well, there's a ton of activity here. Let me go buy that. Now to the thing that you just talked about, two types of investors in the world, right? The guy who wants to drive his friends by, hey, look at this great townhome I own on the golf course. Look at me. It's an
yeah.
ego thing. But then there's a guy who owns 50 houses, hate this word, in the hood, but the dude is cranking in $52,000 a month,
Yeah.
right? And just swimming in cash and doesn't know what to do with it, right? Because he's cash flow driven,
Yep.
right? So, and this plays out a lot of different ways, like rehabbers, some of them will put in like gold trim, like crazy, overdo it. But it's $150,000 house. Doing that does not increase the value, right? So it's understanding, that be where your buyers are. Don't overspend. Just because I, I've got a lot of rental properties all over town, and I would live in any of them. They're clean, they're functional. Would I want my girlfriend and three dogs to stay there overnight on a weekend? Maybe not, but they're functional, good, and clean for that area. So so yeah, and kind of looking at what you said, the beach house was what sort of caught my attention. Um, where are the buyers, right? Like I get people that call me all the time, like, oh, I'm in Tennessee and I want to buy properties in Sevierville. I'm like, bro, everybody in Sevierville knows that they're going to sell their property and it's going to be an Airbnb and it's going to be $700,000. And that's the business. If you want to be in the Airbnb business, that's okay, but it's just a tough place to wholesale. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So again, let's backwards engineer it. Where are most of the sales happening? What are those people buying? What are the zip codes? Let's re-engineer it a little bit backwards here and figure out where is the easiest place to do business. At the end of the day, I'm lazy. I'm a lazy fat white kid from Boston, man. I don't want to do any more work than I have to. So I want to be in the pond where there's 50,000 bass, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not looking to make this any more difficult than it has to be. I used to have a little handwritten note on the wall, pinned to the wall next to my desk that said, "This is a simple business." It really is. This is not a complicated business. We buy low, we sell high. It's people that kind of fuck it all up.
Right.
So the simpler you can keep things, the better, right? Like I had a coaching call with someone the other day, and um, you know, he was he was doing a bunch of stuff, and then he's like, yeah, now I'm gonna start doing JV deals, and I'm gonna be doing all these things. I'm like, bro, one fucking thing. Get good at one thing. Be
Yeah.
the best at one thing. Because if you're gonna be the I'm gonna take on a bunch of JV deals, and I'm gonna do storage units, and I'm gonna do land development. I'm gonna do all these 5 things, right? Because Warren Buffett said to have 6 streams of income. You know what? You're wholesaling and you're competing against me. And I'll put my fucking team up against anybody. We may not be the very best, smoothest person on the phone, but we do the fucking basics. We answer the phone, we call people back. Like if you just do the basics, you're going to be better than 90% of the people out there.
That's
You know what I
right.
mean? So always pick one thing and really just dominate that space. Josh and Tiffany, so I got this from Tiff. She's like, getting rich is not exciting. It's not. Just doing the same shit over and
I
over and
left the
over.
same shit.
Huh?
I
Yeah,
left the
I'm
same
gonna tell
shit.
you, it gets boring,
It
like
did. It got really boring, and I was
yeah,
making tons of money, and I walked away, and everyone's like, "You're
yeah.
crazy,"
It's
but I
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
happy.
the one good thing about our business is we deal with the wackiness of society. So your coordinators are dealing with it. So
Yes, you are.
you get that excitement, right? Like when we're in our Monday morning meetings, Anna will tell you this, right? Like we love crazy, crazy stories. We were there one day and one of the guys was like, yeah, the seller was talking to me and he was like telling me I'm in the bathtub. Remember? Like I'm in the bathtub, like, dude, that's a weird thing for you to be telling me, right? So that kind of stuff keeps it a little bit interesting, but simple is scalable, right? Just we want to do what we do. We want to be better than anybody else. We just want to do it over and over and over and over again. And um, you know, once you figure that out and that's on autopilot, then you can start to add some more stuff.